So many said that the onset of electric vehicles would mean the end of having fun in cars. How wrong were they?
Take a moment, enjoy the calm. You could be stuck on the N7 with two teething toddlers, but we don't do stress at the AA. We do roadside rescue, and our trained mechanics fix 8 out of 10 problems at the roadside. Buy online now at theAA.ie. Relax. Yellow and black have got your back.
Before we go on, please do give this video a like, subscribe to the AA Ireland YouTube channel, and of course hit that bell icon to stay in touch with all of our latest video releases.
So now Audi is back with another version of their achingly beautiful e-tron GT, a car which came to Ireland in 2021 and is a close relative to the Porsche Taycan. The e-tron GT is anything but slow, but now here is an RS version that takes things up another notch. You get the same basic recipe in the RS, so a 93.4 kilowatt hour battery, 85 of those being usable, but instead of the already massive 530 horsepower of the standard version, there is up to 645 horsepower, albeit in boost mode for a short period, and 830 newton meters of torque compared to 630 newton meters in the standard GT. It shaves almost a second off the 0 to 100 km per hour time. It's down to 3.6 seconds, although we're pretty sure it does it in less. And all of this happens without too much impact on the very respectable 465 kilometers of range. Let's cut to the chase and move on from there. If you can afford this car, buy it. Here is why. First things first, it looks stunning. The four-door coupe is possibly Audi's prettiest car, and that is saying quite a lot. Secondly, I'm not sure I've ever come across a car with such deeply refined multiple personalities. It can behave like a luxurious, comfy cruiser thanks to a clever air suspension layout that soaks up bumps with indifference. I spent most of my week casually pootling around the motorway or through the city like I was driving a fat luxury car, but then when you do select dynamic mode, invoke the car's synthetic but beautiful sound and stamp your right foot, all hell breaks loose, but in the most controlled, Germanic manner. It hurls you towards the horizon without necessarily allowing your innards the chance to catch up. With two electric motors, one on each axle, there's limpet-like grip, aided by tyres that you'd almost have to speak to your bank manager about replacing.
So luggage space mightn't be your primary concern when you're buying a car like this, but just to fill you in, this one has a 350 litre boot space, which really isn't massive. That's about 50 litres less than you get in something like a Volkswagen Golf. The aperture as well is quite narrow, so you might struggle with things like golf clubs, but otherwise it's fine. It's certainly adequate. And of course there is, at the front, another boot space.
Driving a car with this much power usually means a lot of petrol, but of course this is electric and it can also charge quickly too, with 800 volt charging available. That's of course if you can get to one of the Ionity charging points littered across the country. The official range of 465 kilometers might be theoretically doable, but given the amount of time you stand on the go pedal in this car, it's not very likely. It's a big statement, but for me this is the best car I've driven. I know people might disagree, and some people will say that's a crazy thing to say, and it doesn't even have a petrol engine, but for me this car does everything perfectly well. Would I have it? Would I spend the money on it, the enormous amount of money on it? 100%. If I had the money, this car would not be going back tomorrow. It is, for me, perfect.
Okay, so time for some conclusions on this car. Have I turned into a complete fanboy about this? Yes, I have. It's by far one of the best, if not the best cars I've ever driven. Am I going to be heartbroken handing this back tomorrow? Yes. So look, do you need the RS version? Well, no, of course you don't. Standard version is going to be plenty powerful enough. But if you do have the money, and this one being over 142,000 euro, yes, you may as well, because this is by far one of the best cars in the world.